Hi, I'm Carlene, and this is Carlene Tonight. We have with us again, Matt. Matt, how are you?
I'm good. I'm surprised that you wanted me back after the last time.
Oh, because you know what? We had so much fun, even though you took over my show.
Yes. Yeah. I sort of took that bull and I wrangled it to the ground and then tied it up, right?
Yes. But you always make me laugh, so I think it's a good thing. We have a good rapport, which is important.
Yeah. You know what? I feel like you and I should do a permanent radio show together. It would give me some manner of, street cred. It would be like, oh, there's Carlene hanging out with the uncool guy. Oh, look at that. She's giving him some, she's making him look cool.
Yes, you are cool. Yeah, we'll keep it going. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Every now and then when you have some time.
Yep, I'm in.
So we're going to be talking Halloween. This year's a little bit different, not the same. I think I heard that there's some virtual or actually no drive-through Halloween events happening. I heard there's one at Square One. I don't know if you've heard about this.
No. See, for me, when I was younger, we managed to procure a set of plans for making potato guns, which involves a large piece of ABS pipe and a potato and a flint and a launching device. I was considering making one and then just basically sitting on my porch and loading up a potato gun and just blasting candy at kids from, across the street. But I feel like the drive-through option is better. It's safer. There's not candy shrapnel flying everywhere.
Well, they're doing like the haunted house, but through a drive-through setting, I guess. Someone said, I was talking to some colleagues today, and one of them's actually going to one, I think in Brampton. So I was like, oh, this is what's going on.
It's a series of dominoes, right? So Thanksgiving was the first one to fall, and now we've got Halloween. And of course, the next one coming up is going to be Christmas, and we're going to be told that we can't do this and we can't do that for Christmas. I had a bit of an epiphany today in that I thought to myself, okay, theoretically, or for all intents and purposes, I'm going to be doing the distance learning with my kids in September 2021. Because if you think about this, let's say they get the vaccine happening in spring of 2021. By the time they get this thing rolled out for all Canadians, my kids might not be able to be back in school until after Christmas of 2021. This is nuts. It's absolutely nuts.
Yeah, that is nuts. So I don't know what to say. I just feel like you just have to take it one day at a time,
you just gotta
one
take
month at a time. And it's already, the year's almost done, right?
Yeah.
So you have to do something fun, right?
Yeah. Now, are you telling me to just man up? Is that what you're saying? You're like, man up.
Yes, I'm saying you can't cancel Halloween. You can't cancel Christmas. You still have to do something small.
Yeah, agreed.
Parents have given up, thrown in the towel. It's just have some candy at home, watching movies, right?
Yeah. Now we're doing we have a little we're going to do a candy hunt around the house. And they're going to dress up. We're going to dress up. And then we're also going to see my parents and my wife's parents. They're all part of our bubble. So we're going to keep it closed and tight, but the kids are going to do candy. And let's be serious. Even last year, I was saying this to a buddy of mine. Last year, I'm not sure if you remember it, Carlene, but Halloween night was horrendous. It poured. So my kids were out for about 45 minutes. What, sorry?
Yeah. Horrible. I remember. I do.
Yeah. So it was horrible. So last year it was ruined. And then theoretically this year it's ruined. And
Yeah. Watch the weather be perfect this year. This is the first time in a while Halloween's on a weekend, right?
Yeah.
And then we got daylight. We turned the clocks back.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
of course it has to be on a Saturday in 2020. Of course. Of course, right? It has to. In the year of COVID, you're like, it can't be any more 2020 than that.
Oh my gosh. No.
It's
perfect night. I could have gone out. I usually, with my friends, usually dress up. Last year, did I do anything last year? I think I did something the year before. I can't remember now, but I don't know if you've ever been to any haunted houses, but I went to the one in Casa Loma 2 years ago, and that was scary. I screamed. I actually screamed. There was a room. We walked in there and it was Mike Myers. It wasn't the real Mike Myers, but costume and everything. Matt, I actually was walking back. I was so scared because it looked like that. Oh my God, she's coming after me.
Yeah, but you feel, you know what though? A hidden side effect of that job is, you know, that at some point you're getting kicked in the midsection. Like you're going to scare someone so much that they're just going to haul off and just punch you in the penis, right?
Yeah.
Like at some point, it's like you just basically revert back to to your basic, most primordial, most primeval instincts. And it's like, you're coming at me, I'm going to punch you. Right?
Oh my goodness.
Right?
No, we don't want that to happen.
No.
You're right. People, like, we don't know what will happen when we're actually scared. Like, I didn't even think I would get that scared, but it was a perfect date night. You know what I mean?
So this was fun. A date too.
Yeah.
Okay. So, okay. While we're on the topic of this, let me ask you a question, because I think for guys, this never really happens, but when, for the female sect of the population, when does it become that Halloween becomes sexy? Do you know what I'm saying? There's this when is it? Like, is there do you ladies get together and there's like, okay, so we're with this age, this is when it's time to get sexy. Like, I remember being in school, and as it got later and later into the school years, as you got higher and higher, it got sexier and sexier. And you're like, this is nuts. Like, so when is it? What's the age?
I feel like you're right though. Later on in the years, it was like one year as a bunny rabbit, and then it's like you see some people being like the Playboy bunny.
See?
I feel like it's like grade 12 and grade 13.
Okay. Yeah.
I was last grade 13 class, and that's when the costumes get sexier. And then as you get older too, it's like their nurse costume is not your regular.
Fantastic. It is fantastic. It's fantastic. Yeah. And again, too, like, there's nothing sexy about a zombie until a beautiful woman puts a zombie costume on, and you're like, oh, okay. That's kind of sexy, actually, right? You know, it's like,
yeah.
It's like, I remember, I'm a musician as well. I've played probably hundreds of weddings in my days, and I have very rarely seen a bride where the dress hasn't made that woman look absolutely stunning. There have been a few where you're like, oh, yeah, okay, not really. But there's something about the bridal dress that it's like, it's transformative. It's the same as Halloween. You can take the most grotesque, awful concept and just sexy it up. And it's like, okay, that's sexy. I can get behind that, you know?
Right. So we'll sexy up Dorothy, because I was Dorothy one year.
But Dorothy's already sexy though.
She is, right?
Totally sexy, completely.
And like, she's so innocent.
Oh, yeah, man. And those three, what was it? The Tin Man, the Lion, and the Scarecrow, they were all thinking the most impure things.
Oh my gosh. Did you ever see the Mad TV skit where she just like freaked out on the lion?
No. What?
Oh my, it's so funny.
Okay.
I think it was the fairy godmother, and they said to her, she was like, there's a scene where, Dorothy's just getting so frustrated with the Tin Man and the lion. And then the fairy godmother said, you could have flickered your eyes and you would have been back home. You could have just twinkled your fingers. And she's just like, you just have to watch.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Wow. Speaking of skits, did you see Adele? Adele hosted Saturday Night Live a couple weeks back.
I heard about it, but I didn't watch it.
Okay, so she's lost a pile of weight, like a pile, right? And
yeah.
So she obviously has to address it. She says something to the effect of like, yeah, so I might look a little bit different than the last time that you saw me, and that's because I decided to only bring the half that I like.
The other half she left at home.
The other half she left at home.
Oh my gosh, I have to go and watch
It's really good. It's really good. It's funny. Here you have quite possibly one of the most beautiful singers on the planet. And she wasn't even the musical guest. She was there to host, and she killed it. She killed it.
Yeah. Oh my God.
She's fantastic. I love her. She's fantastic. Yeah.
Adele, we miss you. When's your next album? Let's do where we had 25, let's do 30, 31, something.
Yeah,
right?
and you know what though, when it comes to her, and actually, I sort of subscribe to this with any artist. Take your time. Like, you know what? If it's not ready yet, take your time. Especially with Adele. Like, how many albums have you heard that have come out and you're like, oh man, if you had just given it 6 more months, this thing would have been twice the album, right? But yeah, take your time, Adele. Yeah. Don't rush it.
Take your time. Oh yeah, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah,
we'll have to just wait and see. Because I even like her voice. She was having some problem with her vocal cords.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, apparently she's a really avid smoker. That can't be good for the vocal cords, but I thought she's an
avid smoker? Really?
Oh yeah. Like, big time. Yeah. She's she's keeping Rothmans in business, let me tell you. Okay. Like,
oh my goodness. Wow.
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
Yeah.
Adele.
Well, then again, too, like you go and listen to like Etta James, go listen to Nina Simone. Like, you know that those ladies they had to be smoking because they have a bit of that. There's that gravel in there. There's a bit of that rasp, right? So it has to be in there for sure.
You could be onto something.
I could,
but Adele doesn't have a raspy voice.
No, hers is really pure. But yeah, she's an avid smoker. Oh, she's constantly.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Carlene, and this is Carlene Tonight. This band has been around since 2016. We have Altered by Mom. It breaks your bones.
Coming through. Don't listen to them, girl. There's nothing here to tell you that you can't rule the world. And I know you try to see things through. I know you do. And when it all comes down so far,
I'm Carlene, and you're listening to Carlene Tonight. That was It Breaks Your Bones by Altered by Mom.
So tonight, we're talking about Halloween. We got a little sidetracked there with Adele, but we love Adele. She's
I agree.
amazing. And so I was just wondering, what is one of your favorite Halloween movies?
Okay, so you and I went back and forth as far as text about the films that we were going to chat about, and you brought up one that I hadn't seen. I've actually only seen once, and there was a reason why I only saw it once, because it was so unsettling that I only saw it once, and I was like, okay, I can't do this again. And the film is Candyman. That thing is just like, it's 100% unsettling. And I'm a horror fan. Like I love the Nightmare on Elm Street films. I can get down with some Saw, but there was something about that Candyman movie, that 1992 film, that was just, it was really unsettling. Thoughts?
How old were you when you watched Candyman? I was a kid. So Candyman, I saw that. I remember watching it at my Nona's house, and that Candyman scared me.
Okay.
He was, yeah.
Okay, so that was 92. I was 14.
92.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was fairly young when I watched Candyman.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say my age, but yeah.
And you know what? So like when you brought it up, I actually had to go back and I actually YouTubed a couple scenes, because I've only seen this thing once, and there's a reason why, because it's just, are you familiar with who Clive Barker is?
I've only seen him in Candyman, and I know they're doing a remake. I don't know if they're going to be able to bring it out in theaters next year as planned.
Okay. And it's Jordan Peele, right? It's Jordan Peele doing it.
Oh, okay.
Okay. But so Clive Barker he's a director. He was really prominent in the 1980s. He had a movie called Nightbreed, but the ones that you would probably know because they were part of the public consciousness was the Hellraiser movies. Have you ever seen any of these things?
Hellraiser, no.
Okay.
No.
So Clive Barker, he was also an author. So he was like Stephen King, but taken to the next level in that he was also doing movies. If you haven't seen Hellraiser, it's so twisted. Like it's insane goriness, really, really twisted, and just like imagery that you can't get out of your head. And I didn't realize that Candyman was not necessarily directed by Clive Barker, but it was based on a short story that he wrote. And that's why, like, I challenge you, Carlene, go and watch Hellraiser, and you're going to come away. It's one of those movies where you need like a shower or 5 after you've seen the movie. You're like, you know what? I have to get some of the grime off of me. It's awful. The other one that did that to me was, have you ever seen Requiem for a Dream?
I've heard of Requiem for a Dream.
Yeah, there's the one that you're going to need to get the power washer out and just wash yourself off after. Just all kinds of.
Like, which one is that movie by, what's the name of that director? Perry Mason. Alfred Hitchcock.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't him. It was the one about the bees. Was that David Cronenberg?
The one about the bees. Candyman's about the bees, isn't it?
Yeah, it is about bees as well. But you just made me think of another movie that's about bees that I haven't seen, but it's fairly disturbing. I don't know if you know David Cronenberg.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Wasn't he the Thing? Didn't he do The Thing?
The Thing.
I think that was him too. That's another freak show of one too.
I've seen Maps to the Stars. Crash is another.
Oh yeah, Crash was all kinds of effed up too. That was a weird film.
That was right. The turn on, but that's just so crazy.
Yeah.
But he's very strange.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, when I think about these movies that he's created, I'm like, what is going on in that head of yours?
Well, you have to ask yourself, if you were the wife of Stephen King, do you want to fall asleep beside this guy? Like, honestly. And the other person too is, for me, it's Pink, like the artist Pink. She scares me. Like you would wake up sewn to the bed for sure. Like if you fell asleep beside that woman, you would wake up sewn to the bed. She frightens me. And it's the same as Stephen King. Stephen King, I would be afraid if I would wake up and I was on some table and my innards were outards. You know, like.
But the thing is, he's writing about it. I don't know if he would actually do it. You know, there's a difference between like creating this monstrosity and then actually doing it, right? It takes a certain mind to do that, right? The creative mind versus the mind to go and actually do something like that, right? I don't know
but
if it's in that dark place, but
if it's in there, it's in there, man. Like, I'm not sure. Are you much of a reader?
I'm not as much as a reader as I used to be.
Okay.
But you've read a lot of Stephen King's books, like based on.
If you haven't read the book many people, like when the first film came out, there was a mini series that came out in the 90s with Tim Curry as Pennywise the Clown, and it was garbage in comparison to the book. The book is a masterpiece, and when the first film came out, now granted, it is probably in my top 5 of books that I've ever read. I absolutely adore it, but if you haven't read the book, it's definitely worth reading. There's a couple caveats. A, it's 1,300 pages long. Okay. So it's really, it's an investment of your time. And B, if you thought the films or the miniseries was scary, this thing is going to scare you stiff. It is so frightening. Like, it is just, he's a complete lunatic. And this is the book, is Stephen King at the height of his powers. He's just an absolute master. There's a scene in that book that they legally could not film for the first movie. Legally, it just couldn't happen. It just wouldn't. Yeah. It is so frightening. But I always
did you like the remake of it? Did you like? I thought it was great.
Okay, so I thought that the first film, because it was broken up into 2 parts, the first film was passable. It was a good shot at it. The second film was horrendous. So I guess my answer to that is, I don't know. I might give it like a meh.
Did a good job as the clown?
I thought that, who was that?
Skarsgård.
Bill Skarsgård. I think, he was great as a clown. I loved his take on it. Of course, the version that everybody knows going into it was Tim Curry. So Bill Skarsgård had to deviate from that and do his own thing. It's very similar to how Heath Ledger did his version of the Joker versus Jack Nicholson's version, right? Because that was the version that you're going to compare it to. But it's just that there's so much in the book, and many said, the book's so long you can't do it, which is a complete lie, because they took and they adapted all 3 Lord of the Rings books and they did them beautifully, right? So this could have been done better. The book is just such a wonderful, it's an exploration of childhood, and it's this whole thing. And there's so many things from the book that I would have hoped would have made it in, that with a budget, like they had, part of the big detraction on the miniseries was that they had no budget. So with a budget on this thing, they can get into CGI, they can get into all kinds of insane stuff, because like the final battle between the kids and Pennywise the Clown occurs in the book. It occurs in 2 separate timelines. So the adults and the kids are fighting this thing at the same time. And it's lunacy what happens. And I thought, okay, this is a great opportunity for them to be able to use some money and actually get this to look decent. And again, it's one of those things where, oh man, like you missed the mark. And as usual, Stephen King signs off on it. It's, oh, this is fantastic. And you watch it. And as a fan of the book, I'm thinking, oh man, like there's some really vital scenes in that book that really should have made it onto film.
Hi, I'm Carlene, and this is Carlene Tonight. We have Altered by Mom, Outside Lover.
Blow your mind. I got this intuition. side. Time for talking, baby. Turn up the music loud. I'm seeing something in your eyes that says it's going down. Outside a lover, inside a liar. So familiar when I'm with you. Outside a lover, inside a liar. Hold me closer when I'm with you. Same old story, same old trouble with you. Feeling a connection, love is imperfection with you. Same old story, same old trouble with you. Feeling a connection, love is imperfection with you. Same old story, same old trouble. Feeling a connection, love is imperfection with you. With you. Feeling a connection, love is imperfection. Same old story, same old trouble with you. Feeling a connection, love is imperfection with you.
Hi, I'm Carlene, and you're listening to Carlene Tonight. That was Outside Lover by Altered by Mom.
I think everyone, whenever they read a book, it changes the whole idea of the movie.
Yeah.
And so you're taking the reader's approach to how you would have seen the film,
For
right?
sure.
So
Yeah.
for me, I haven't read the book, but I enjoyed the first movie. And I don't know, I've watched scary movies since I was a kid, like Amityville
That's
Horror.
frightening stuff. Yep.
Yeah, that was scary for me. I don't know. I feel like the 70s is a time when a lot of the horror movies came out and they were really good. Like it was a different pace in terms of film, but oh yeah, I mean even Halloween.
Yeah.
Back to the first movie with Jamie Lee Curtis and Donald Pleasance. I think I said his name right, but just even the cast with that movie. I mean, now the music is so campy, but I remember going to see it. They had this special at the Tiff Bell Lightbox, and they did a documentary. They played the documentary before they played the movie, and the director was talking about how at that time it was such a scary movie. Like it scared a lot of people. Like it changed the horror movie genre. You know what I mean? John Carpenter really changed the way for horror movies to come. You know what I mean? And I think it made a big mark. And obviously when you watch it now, it's like the music, you know what I mean? And Jamie Lee Curtis just in that scene there, right? But yeah.
And you know what? There was something, because for me, I saw Halloween after I saw Friday the 13th, after I saw Nightmare on Elm Street. So you like when you watch Halloween and it's very tame by comparison. But again, it's the same as I made the mistake of seeing Goodfellas before I saw The Godfather. And Goodfellas is a faster pace. It's not an action film, but you're getting into that arena. And then you go back and you watch The Godfather and it's wickedly slow paced and it's like a 3-hour runtime. And I remember watching The Godfather going, I don't get this. Like I've seen the 2-hour and 15-minute Goodfellas and it's more of a modern pacing. It's more of a movie that I'm used to. And I'm watching this 3-hour film. Yeah, Marlon Brando's performance was great and all, but I didn't quite get it. But then it's funny. I had a friend that was this involved in film. He said, okay, now go back and watch it again with no pretense. So I went back and I watched it again, and there's this beauty to it. There's something different. You could tell that this is magic, and it's very similar to the Halloween thing. Like without Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger doesn't exist. Jason Voorhees doesn't exist, right? Like Michael Myers was the template. This was the launching pad for all of that. So if you watch it with that in mind, I think it makes it a little bit more of a journey. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, you're getting all deep now. But
well,
that's very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, movies are meant to be watched over and over again. It's like watching Misery. I've only watched it once.
Oh, that's a rough film. Holy jeez.
Oh, yeah. We're just getting right into horror films altogether. But I think even for me, I do agree with you. I didn't get the hype with The Godfather. I didn't. I thought it was like the first time I watched it, I was like, I really don't understand why there's so much praise for this movie. Because I've watched a lot of mob movies like, Carlito's Way, Casino, A Bronx Tale, which I love. And then I watched The Godfather and I'm like, maybe I have to watch it again.
You have to watch it again. You do. You do.
Yeah.
And that was my number one mistake. And you, Carlene, have probably fallen into the same trap as me in that I saw all this other stuff first and then went to watch this. And I remember, it's funny. I remember coming out of the room and I said to my dad, I don't get this. And he's like, okay, remember that when this came out, nobody had seen anything like this before. It's just like Jaws. Like Jaws nowadays is not scary, really. But in 1977, when that thing came out, that was friggin' frightening.
Right. For the time. Yeah, exactly. Right. Like, I still think like The Exorcist is scary.
It's scary stuff too. Yeah.
Yeah,
oh, yeah.
It is scary.
Completely.
But I mean, like you said, so we're talking Halloween, and you said another movie that we should definitely talk about is Silence of the Lambs.
Oh, okay. So I got to tell you, so Carlene, give me your top 3 movies. Doesn't have to be Halloween. Top 3 movies, go.
Top 3, wow. Okay, so for me, Forrest Gump.
Oh, that's great. Wow.
I love Forrest Gump. Wow. Top 3. Ugh, this is so hard. Oh, man. I can't even.
That's hard, eh?
It is hard. It is. Wow. I guess movies I've watched over and over again. Let's see. Now, I like Karina.
Good film. Okay.
Yeah. And I'll just tell you The Age of Adeline.
Cool.
Those are the ones that come to mind. But I don't know if they're my top 3. But I mean, Forrest Gump is part of my top 3, and I've watched that. I've made my sisters watch that movie so many times. It's,
But for me, in my top 3, I would have to put Silence of the Lambs. And it's not necessarily for the movie. It's just when you watch, like, Anthony Hopkins is an absolute tour de force in that film. Yeah. Like, it's just ridiculous. And I think, what was he? He was on screen like 12 minutes or 13 minutes or something ridiculous like that. And you're like, wait a second. He got like a Best Supporting Actor, and he again became the template for essentially every psychological horror thriller after that, right? Like, he's just an absolute tour de force in that film.
Oh, if we're talking about that, okay, so I have to add Ghost, because I love Ghost.
Like, you're talking about the Patrick Swayze. What do you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, for sure. If we're talking about movies back then, because there's so many in that time frame, the 70s and 80s, and I have to add the original Planet of the Apes map.
Yeah.
Matt, I love the original with Charlton Heston.
Yeah.
It's like, damn you.
Yeah. It's really good. Then, my issue with Charlton Heston is I cannot separate, now watching him, I can't separate his affiliation with the NRA. So
I know.
Yeah.
I know. It totally did change my whole out.
It's like, it's like Kanye West. Like, I love the guy's music. I have a hard time listening now because of everything else, because of the circus that is Kanye. Right. And you're just like, just wish you weren't so you.
Yeah, exactly. Why did you have to do that? It's like I say to Charlton Heston, why? Why did you have to be a part of this whole thing? Like, I mean, I you watch some of these actors and you love the way that they're in front of the camera, and film is like the great escape, right? For me, and I guess for you too, because you know so much about movies. But it's one of those things that it takes away when you find out who the person really is. Right?
Yeah, like I can't watch Lethal Weapon now with Mel Gibson, knowing that he's a complete slimewad. Like he's anti-Semitic. He's awful.
Yeah.
Right. Which is terrible.
I know, and I've even for me, like Tom Hanks, I've heard some things about Tom Hanks
Oh,
that
I don't even want to know. I don't even listen.
I know.
I don't even want to know.
I know we're not going to get into that.
Please don't ruin that for me, man.
Going back to horror movies, let's end it with our final. Like, what's the other one that you have to tell people that they have to watch this weekend for Halloween?
Man, that they have to. Okay, I mean it's cliche. I think that the first Nightmare on Elm Street is just amazing. Yeah.
Okay. So then I have to watch that.
Okay, so yeah, and it's funny because when you said that you hadn't seen it, like I had assumed anybody roughly within from the age of about 30 to 45 has seen this thing. And it's one of those films where, like, I remember back to The Dark Knight quickly. I remember hearing about all the hype about Heath Ledger's performance as Joker. Sorry, have you seen The Dark Knight?
Yes,
Okay.
I have.
So I remember hearing all the praise for Heath Ledger's performance as the Joker. And you're thinking to yourself, okay, there's no way that this can live up to what people are saying. And then you go and you see it and you're like, wow. Like that was Anthony Hopkins. Like that was his Anthony Hopkins moment where you're like, you are never going to top this. This is it. Like you're done. And Nightmare on Elm Street it's that.
Who's the main actor in that movie?
Well, okay. First of all, Johnny Depp is in it as and he's like a bit part. I think he's the first guy offed in the film.
Yeah.
Okay. Who's the main guy? I don't know. Like Heather Langenkamp or something was the lead, and she makes it all the way through to the end. And but Robert Englund is the guy that plays Freddy Krueger, and it was one of these situations where I think part of the reason why The Dark Knight worked so well is they just drop you into this situation. There's no real explanation given to exactly the motives of the Joker. It's just he's this guy that exists and he's a complete anarchist and a complete freak show. That's kind of what you're getting when it comes to the Freddy Krueger thing. They do give you a little bit of an explanation as to what's going on, but you're kind of dropped into the middle of the situation. And as the Nightmare series went on and on and on, it got campier and campier, and Freddy Krueger became almost a caricature of himself and all these stupid one-liners and all this stuff. But man, that first film is just, it just amps up the creepiness, and it's visceral, it's bloody. But again, they didn't have much of a budget, so all the blood and everything occurs in the darkness, and you only see very small glimpses of it, which is in some ways more frightening than if you actually get to see it, right? So it's just, again, the concept is this guy that stalks you in your dreams, and if he kills you in your dreams, you're dead in real life. And the stuff that it's nuts. Like it's nuts what goes on. And again, watching it now, knowing that they had virtually no budget, and you see what's happening here, and it's like, how did they do that with no budget? It's really good. It's dark. It's very 80s. The soundtrack is, if you're into Cronenberg and everything, it's a very synthy soundtrack, but it's very, very 80s, but wickedly, wickedly, wickedly creepy.
Yes. Yeah. So the movies. Okay, so we have Silence of the Lambs.
Yep.
Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
And Candyman.
Yeah. That's pretty solid. That's pretty solid. Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
what a great list. I mean, Matt, it's always fun doing the show with you. Halloween special. I swear this weekend, if you can watch a horror movie, please do so. Times are different now, but we can still have some candy.
Yeah.
We can still dress up a little bit.
That's right. Or dress down if you're my wife, right?
Right? And then
right.
maybe you'll have a piñata in the house.
There you go. That's right. Yeah. Oh my God. Yes. Oh, God. Yeah. Give my 7-year-old and my almost 5-year-old a couple sticks and say, here, swat this until it explodes. Exactly. That sounds like great parenting.
Oh my gosh. You're Parent of the Year, Matt McFarland of the growing season.
That's right.
Well, thanks again, Matt. I appreciate you coming on the show. I'm Carlene, and this is Carlene Tonight with Matt. Woo.
Awesome. Awesome.
Thanks for listening to Carlene Tonight.